Okay, we're good. So, personality cult also meant that we used to have statues of communist leaders all over the place, statues of Lenin, Marx, Engels. And the reason I'm telling you all this now is because there is a big open space in front of us. You see a lot of cars parking there. But this square was one square where there used to be a huge statue of Stalin. A really gigantic statue of Stalin. And they used this square for a lot of communist propaganda events. Party meetings were held here where people had to come and clap and look cheerful and all that. Yeah. And because there was an extensive network of spies and secret agents, people did what was expected or what was required of them to do. I'm talking about the big space in front of us. Wow. So when the 1956 revolution broke out, on the first day of the revolution, on the 23rd of October, people came here and they pulled down the statue of Stalin. They cut it up into pieces, they dragged the pieces along the streets of Budapest. Only the boots of Stalin remained on the pedestal. And then for many years they called this square Boot Square, unofficially of course. Many of them going as far as to the United States or Canada or Australia. So if you know Hungarians, there's a good chance that they themselves or their family members left the country in or around 1956. If you take a look on your left, you can see a monument. This is where the statue of Stalin used to stand. This monument was put here in 2006 on the 50th anniversary of the revolution. It's not one of my favorites, but I do like the fact that it reminds us of 1956. And there's also a flag there. Can you see amnesty to the political prisoners for political reasons? So that was when the years of the soft dictatorship started, as opposed to the years of the heavy or hard dictatorship of the late 40s, early 50s. During the years of the soft dictatorship, for decades, in Hungary we didn't have that. Those years were also called the years of gulyás communism, referring to our national dish, the gulyás soup, which is a soup, by the way. It's not a stew, as some of you may think it is. It's a rich and filling soup. There was also full employment in Hungary during those years, so there were no jobless people, no homeless people either. And because of the strong presence of the police and the agents everywhere, there was virtually no crime, or just very little crime. So these are some of the few good things that can be associated with the years of communism. Life was definitely more comfortable in a way, and I think this is why some people have nostalgic feelings about those years. So this is how life was in the 1960s, 70s, early 80s, and then from the mid-80s things started to change slowly and gradually, with President Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev starting to talk and negotiate. It eventually brought an end to the Cold War. So with the fall of the Berlin Wall and the lifting of the Iron Curtain and eventually the collapse of the Soviet Union, things finally happened in Hungary as well. So this is how we had our first free parliamentary elections in 1990. The transition was a smooth transition in Hungary. There was no bloodshed, no revolution, unlike in Romania, for example, where there was a revolution and lots of people died. We didn't have that, but we had to pay a high price for our smooth transition, because one element was missing from it, and this is what I usually call the justice element, meaning that the victimizers, those who were responsible for the death and imprisonment and the torturing of so many thousands of people, these people were not brought before justice. Also the agents who were reporting on people for years, for decades, their identity was not revealed, they were not held responsible. And also on the other side, the victims of the communist terror, those who lost years or decades of their life, were re-elected. Next year we're going to have elections again. We also have EU elections because we're in the European Union. We have been in the EU since 2004, but as I said earlier, we're not in the Eurozone. So that's an important distinction to make, because the EU has 28 member states, but only 19 of them have the euro as their national currency, because you have to meet certain economic criteria in order to be eligible to use the euro, and we're simply not meeting some of those criteria. So that's why the euro is not our official currency. As I told you earlier, our currency is the Hungarian forint, which is usually abbreviated as FT or HUF, and the approximate rate of exchange is 300 forints to a euro, and about 280 forints to a US dollar. These are just rounded up figures. You'll find the exact rate in the market hall. So this is district number 7. We have 23 districts altogether. 17 are here on the Pest side and 6 are on the Buda side. So this is the busier, the more densely populated side. The population of Budapest is 1.7 million people. The population of Hungary is 10 million people. So roughly speaking, 17% of our population lives here in the capital city. And this area within district number 7 is called Elisabeth Town, after... That's right.
Michael would be so proud.
His favorite was Elisabeth?
Yes.
He always made us say,
Oh.
So sad. Oh.
So you're all in Michael's group? In Vienna, or is it contagious?
In Munich.
So what did he tell you about Elisabeth, other than, oh?
Too much.
Too much? Okay, I'm not going to talk about her anymore.
It's interesting. She was really popular here. Bothers the learning language.
What we're crossing right now is called Elisabeth Boulevard. After... I'm Elisabeth Town and crossing Elisabeth Boulevard. Sorry. So we're driving through the Jewish quarter now. As I told you earlier, we would do that. Budapest had a very large Jewish community up until the Second World War. The second half of the 19th century was a period which could be characterized by a strong assimilation and the strengthening of the Jewish population. Well, what happened in the 20th century is unfortunately a very different story. As I told you, the deportations in Hungary started in 1944 after the German occupation. Hungary was one of the last countries to start the deportations. A lot of people escaped to Hungary from other countries where it had been going on already, like Russia and Romania. But then, within a matter of a few months, more than 430,000 people were deported to the concentration camps of mainly Auschwitz-Birkenau, which is today in Poland. Soon is, well, the heart of the Jewish quarter is in front of us, so we will... In the memorial garden there is a beautiful Holocaust memorial. It's called the Tree of Life. You will see a weeping willow, a metallic weeping willow, and on the leaves of the weeping willow there are names of the victims of the Holocaust engraved. Thousands of names are engraved on the leaves of this weeping willow, about 30,000 names altogether. You can still have your beloved one or your relative's name engraved on one of those leaves if you can prove that he or she was a Hungarian Holocaust survivor. So you will see that first, and then you're gonna see the synagogue very soon as well. So take a look on your left hand side, ladies and gentlemen. We're approaching that. So on your left you can see the Tree of Life. It looks like an upside down menorah. So this is a Holocaust memorial. The ghetto walls were also put up here. So those who died within the walls, they were buried here. So on your left, if you look behind the arches, you will see 24 mass graves. About 2,000 people are buried here. Half of them are still unidentified. And there is a Jewish museum here also, focusing on Judaism and Judaic art, as you can see it advertised on the arches on your left. And the synagogue itself, also on your left, is well worth looking at. This is the world's second largest synagogue, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know where the largest synagogue is? Exactly, New York City.
Oh, look at that.
So this was opened in 1859, and it looks like an Israelite cathedral. It was called an Israelite cathedral because the inside looks very much like a Christian church. The seating capacity is 3,000 people, 1,500 for men, 1,500 for ladies. When they open the synagogue, or if you'd like to tour the synagogue, you can come back here. They have English language tours every hour and a half hour, so 2:30, 3:30 and so on. They have shorter tours, longer tours. They also have, you can do a walking tour in this neighborhood as well. You'll find two other synagogues as well, forming the synagogue triangle. They have a lot of nice little kosher shops and restaurants. So it's a very lively neighborhood, the Jewish quarter. And this brings me to another topic, the topic of religions. I said a few things about it already, but to give you some numbers, the main religion is Roman Catholicism, as I said earlier, somewhere between 50 and 60% of our population. They're Roman Catholics. Of course, this doesn't mean that they're all regular church-going people. What this means is that they appear in the books of the Roman Catholic Church with a church baptism, maybe a church wedding, and eventually a church funeral. Okay. Then the second biggest group is the Protestant group, about 15-20% altogether. Within the Protestants, the Calvinist one is the biggest one, as I told you earlier. Then comes the Lutheran Church, and the Baptist Church, and then some smaller denominations which only appeared in the past 15-20 years after the political changes, like the Evangelical Movement, Faith Congregation, Pentecostals, groups like this. They're much smaller, but also considerably more active groups of believers than those who belong to the big traditional churches. Today's Jewish population amounts to about 100,000 people, so roughly speaking, 1% of our population. So we're still on the Pest side, ladies and gentlemen, but very soon we're going to make our way across the river. We have the flat side, the busy side, the younger side, but very soon you're going to see the greener, the hillier, the older Buda side. So by the end of this tour, you'll have a chance to compare the main pedestrian area. I was telling you about our main shopping street, Váci Street, which ends at the market hall. So we're basically gonna drive through it. We're gonna cross the main shopping street, and then we're gonna take the wide bridge in front of us, which is called, ladies and gentlemen, Elisabeth Bridge. Sisi Bridge, yes, we're going to cross the river on Sisi's Bridge. And if you look behind these twin palaces, this is Váci Street, the main shopping area, which is again a very short walk from your ship. It's only like 3-4 blocks away from the river, going parallel with the river. So look out of the window left and right. This is the main shopping street, and at the left end is the market hall. And you'll also see your ship from here, from Elisabeth Bridge. If you take a look on the left, you will see your Viking ship. So you're between the white bridge, Elisabeth Bridge, and the green Liberty Bridge to the left, just for your orientation. If you look across the river, on the top you can see the Statue of Liberty.